"What do you think, kiddo? How exciting is this?" her father asked, reaching over to tickle her.
"What's exciting about sitting around in the dark?" Whitney moaned, "just when I thought it couldn't get any more boring." Whitney's mother and sister came back with candles. Her aunt and uncle returned with 5 flashlights and a helmet with a light on the front.
"This is for you,"
Whitney's uncle said happily and handed her the helmet with the light on the front.
"Isn't it interesting?"
he asked as he set the helmet on her head and switched on the light. "Hardly," Whitney sighed as the helmet slipped down her forehead. She really thought it was quite boring. It wasn't long before the darkness and the sound of the crackling fire made everyone sleepy. Whitney watched her family doze off one by one. She wasn't sleepy at all, just bored. So she decided to use her headlamp to explore the house in the dark. She was hoping that maybe she would discover something she didn't usually see. The house was pretty old, and it made all kinds of creaks and groans. Whitney would sometimes imagine that the creaks and groans were from wild creatures that lived in the walls. Of course, her parents said it was just the house settling. But maybe, with everything dark and quiet, she might be able to find one of those creatures. She began creeping around the house exploring. She didn't hear any creaks or groans, and she didn't see anything different from what she'd seen a million times before. So by the time she reached the top floor, she was so bored that she could barely stand it. She leaned her head back against the wall and sighed. Then she noticed the light from her headlamp pointing at the attic door in the ceiling. A long cord hung from it. She had never explored the attic before. It just might be interesting. So she found a tall step stool, climbed up on it without any adult's help, pulled the cord a few times, and then finally unfolded the stairs. She crept up the attic stairs quietly, a true adventurer. At first, the attic was boring too. It was cold and dusty. It was filled with all of her old toys that were certainly boring now. She was just about to leave when she noticed a box in the middle of the room. She was sure it hadn't been there a moment before, but of course, that was impossible. She walked over to it and peeked inside. It was empty except for a large red photo album. Whitney picked it up to take a closer look. The book was very heavy. It had pieces of paper sticking out of it and seemed to be packed full of papers. She sat down on the attic floor and began looking through it. Right away, she realized that this was not a boring book at all. There were all kinds of pictures, letters, postcards, newspaper clippings, and mementos inside.